As someone who was born and raised in Sacramento, I can assure you that there are very few things that rival the boredom of a road trip along Interstate 5. But that's exactly what Michael Angarano and Michael Cera do in the dysfunctional buddy road trip movie Sacramento. It's hitting theaters in select cities, so should you grab your snacks, tag along? An energetic and free-spirited young man convinces his longtime friend, who settled into domestic life, to go on an impromptu road trip from Los Angeles to Sacramento. So along with Angarano and Cera, this also stars Maya Erskine and Kristen Stewart, both of whom have relatively small roles, but they do play integral parts in the two men's lives. Angarano, who also directed this, plays Ricky. Now, he's in a sort of arrested development state, living an unencumbered life, but at the same time, sort of drifting through his existence. Cera is Glenn, who is mostly the complete opposite. Now, Glenn is perpetually anxious and worried, typically overcome by the slightest decisions or inconveniences. And while he's a childhood friend of Ricky, Glenn is trying to let that relationship just kind of fade away. But one day, when Ricky shows up unannounced at Glenn's, they go out to lunch, and then they end up on a road trip going from LA to Sacramento, which can be anywhere from 6 to 8 hours depending on traffic. Both characters are difficult to warm up to for different reasons. Ricky is grating just thanks to his manipulation and lack of any life direction. And Glenn is annoying as he's stifled by his fears, most of them completely irrational, especially when his wife, who's played by Stewart, is calm, collected, and fully encourages him to hang with Ricky. Now, because this is 89 minutes and portions of the story are spent watching the duo just awkwardly attempt to have conversations, the storyline feels thin, especially when the main point of the movie is showing the growth that both men experience in the course of their short trip. I mean, we barely get any time with them in the car. There are brief clips of them as they drive along the barren and flat Central Valley, just stopping once or twice for some gas or snacks. And I got a nitpick here for just a second. For anybody that's not traveled I-5 or is familiar with Sacramento, you'd never even know about these quirks. But at points, the guys are traveling on this 2-lane road through some foothills. This is not I-5 at all. I mean, yeah, it makes for some mildly pretty scenery, but it's also a complete lie. Also, there are clips of them entering into Sacramento, and while one clip is totally accurate because it shows this massive water tower that has Sacramento, Farm to Fort Capital on it, that is on I-5 entering into the city. But then there's also a shot of a highway sign showing the exit for California State University, Sacramento, which is on a whole different highway in another part of town. When the duo enters downtown Sacramento, they drive back and forth across the gold-painted Tower Bridge, which it's an iconic landmark for the city, but that also diverts them out of the city and into other territories. Now, I know all this is stupid, and it doesn't affect the storytelling in the slightest, but since I can actually weigh in on a movie setting for once, I figured I'd point out what's accurate and what's not. Now, while this is billed as a comedy, or maybe a dramedy, there's not a lot in here that is going to have you laughing out loud. There are cute and humorous moments, but they're scattered about and not consistently delivered. The dynamic between Cera and Angarano is amusing just thanks to how often they clash over ideals, values, behaviors, goals, the small stuff, right? And what's ironic in their relationship is how often Glenn tries to parent Ricky, but is also petrified by the thought of his soon-to-be-born baby living in this world. Glenn's not effective as a parent in the slightest with Ricky, even when giving advice. I mean, he may have sound guidance, but he's terrible at the delivery and execution. So what was meant to be encouraging or helpful becomes just the opposite. And I think the one great thing that can come about by having characters who are such messes is that there are large opportunities for growth. And with these two, I mean, even small growth is going to feel massive. So the bar for them is already pretty low. There is a moment towards the climax of the story that allows Ricky to demonstrate the most maturity and improvement. He's presented with a few chances to step up and slough off his lackadaisical stance, and he does so with compassion and calmness. It's an encouraging moment within the plot, allowing us to see that the character, no matter how childish he may have come across, has the integrity inside to change for the better when needed. And I'd like to say that Glenn also demonstrates good growth. His, though, are tiny little baby steps. Baby steps, baby steps. That's fine, too. I mean, the growth that's displayed, it's less dramatic, but it still works for his character. I mean, I do wish that we could have seen a different persona from Cera. More often than not, he's the mousy and shy or stumbling character, lacking confidence or even a voice. I mean, that's exactly what he brings to Glenn. and it doesn't really showcase any sort of acting range that Cera possesses. And I know he can do it because he's been very dynamic in other works, but it feels a bit like a crutch or even typecasting to continually place him in roles where he's overly meek and afraid of the world. Even with a beard, he comes across like a terrified little boy. I think this is an easy movie to enjoy, even though the characters were somewhat irritating. The strained relationship angle works well, and the duo sell it, creating a dynamic that could come to blows but finds camaraderie and comfort through the acknowledgement of their fears. Humorous moments and sarcastic dialogue help to keep this from diving into the bell jar, even when the story hits upon anxious issues that many could relate to. And despite some location inaccuracies, the views we get can be stunning at times, capturing beauty in the serene, even while surrounded by frenzied emotion. While this doesn't allow Cera to veer away from his stereotypical persona, the character does have an endearing quality that can be sympathized with, but maybe only after he gets a good slap. There is no sex or nudity, a bunch of profanity, and barely any violence. I give Sacramento 3 out of 5 couches. Now, most likely this is going to be playing at an art house or maybe an indie theater, so you're probably best just to wait for VOD. All right, do you have a favorite road trip movie? Let me know what tops your list in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.